Authority. About 40% of our nursing students who are educated here leave the state for another job, and about 28 of our rural hospitals only have 8 maternity wards. As the delegate said, birthing mothers in rural parts of the state travel about 30 minutes to an hour to give birth. And so the tax credit would be tremendously helpful. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jonathan Williams on behalf of the Virginia Academy of Physician Assistants, and we support the bill and thank the delegate for putting it in. Thanks.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Keenan Caldwell speaking on behalf of Centera Health. Centera is the largest health system in the Commonwealth and the 3rd largest private employer, and we appreciate any help to continue to fill the pipeline in these very needed areas. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience to testify in opposition to the bill? Do we have anyone online? Okay. Any further questions from the committee? Okay, Patron, I'll give you the last word.
Yes. I might lie down.
Delegate McNamara.
Thank you. May I make a comment to the patron?
Please.
I'd welcome to the General Assembly. I think you've come up with a fantastic bill. I'm delighted to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
At the appropriate time.
Thank you, Delegate.
Would you like the last word?
Yes, I would love to have this bill passed.
Okay, well, the committee operates by motion, but again, we'll note, despite the merit of so many of these ideas, money is tighter this year, and there is a significant fiscal impact which we have to take into account.
Mr. Chair.
And again, yes, Delegate Bonita Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I really appreciate the patron for bringing this forward. I appreciate the expansion to pharmacists and physical therapists. Definitely, we are advocates. However, I'm just afraid that the cap is still very low. It creates a serious lottery effect. And a lot of policy ideas are great with intention, but with this, what we're facing in this fiscal year, I am going to move that this be gently laid on the table.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we lay HB 1123 on the table. The clerk shall put us on the board. Okay, by a vote of 73, the bill's on the table. Thank you so much for your work on this issue, Delegate.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
you. Okay, just one more housekeeping issue, and I do apologize to Delegate Kent. We're going to take your bill to our later meeting this afternoon, so I'm sorry that you woke up so early to be here, but we'll see you at our next meeting later today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Delegate Krizik, you've got HB 458.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Thank you, members of the subcommittee. This bill aims to exclude governmental broadband grant awards from a broadband provider's Virginia taxable income. Prior to 2017, broadband grants awarded by governmental agencies were not treated as taxable income. That changed with the Federal Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which subjected those grants to federal taxation, a change that many states, including Virginia, made, and we adopted that. So under current law, our broadband grants are taxed up front. So we're giving money and then we're taxing it. But we allow the providers to deduct 20% of the grant each year over 5 years. As a result, the broadband providers are losing out on grant money that could be used to expedite the process of establishing new broadband networks in areas deficient in accessibility, causing thousands of Virginians to lose out on a potential internet access. So the practical effect of this policy is that broadband providers receive these large tax bills as soon as the grant funds are awarded, even though the networks take years to build out, and additional time to generate revenue from the subscribing customers. And they come on top of the substantial matching funds that providers are already required to contribute in order to receive a grant award. To get a grant award for broadband, you have to match the money. Governmental broadband grants should not be treated as income subject to state taxation, as the vast majority of broadband grant dollars are used for labor and materials to build infrastructure. That labor payroll is already taxed, and profits from the sales of materials are already taxed. Treating the grant itself as taxable income effectively results in multiple layers of taxation on the same public investment. This is just a targeted technical fix that aligns Virginia's tax policy with our broadband deployment goals. It does not create a new grant program. and it does not increase spending. It ensures that every dollar of government broadband grants are used to build the networks, not clawed back through the tax code. So I think there's at least one person here to speak on behalf of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. First, we'll do questions from the committee, and I'll just kick us off. I was just reviewing the fiscal impact statement, and it notes that the revenue impact is uncertain because it's not known which state and federal programs will provide federal grants and not possible to estimate the unspent and undispersed state amounts that will be dispersed each year for each project. So they're just notes of uncertainty, and I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Well, I can speak a little to that, and let's let the expert here speak to it as well. Obviously, if the grant's not awarded, there's no tax, right? So that's probably the uncertainty aspect of it. But it's let's have Rich speak to that if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Rich Schulman. I'm the executive director of the Virginia Broadband Industry Association. Our members are about a dozen of the mostly small providers, which is really key here. Mostly the old telephone companies, and we're the ones that are building a lot of the rural networks that are out there, trying to get to those last rural customers that don't have broadband. And I think I see a few of those up here among you all that are in that situation. Two things on the fiscal impact. The reason I can't give an impact is we don't know when the grants are going to be awarded. We don't know when companies are going to be able to accept the grants and start the builds. My understanding is the money isn't in the budget anywhere. It's just money that comes in as these grants get awarded. There may be none in a year. There may be some in the next year. You really just don't know. Delegate Krzyzak hit the key points, but there are two that I just wanted to make very quickly to you. One is that it's both a federal and a state problem. We're working it on the federal level, but the feds also recently made a change that allows for bonus depreciation. So we don't have quite as big a problem there, but I know we don't conform on bonus depreciation in Virginia, so that's not an issue. The other big point is that this is particularly harmful to your smaller companies, maybe a bigger company, multi-state. You can deal with this timing issue. But for the small providers in Virginia, what's happening is they get hit with this tax bill in year one. The grants don't allow any ability to compensate for that revenue that you've lost for those grants. And as a result, you've got to slow down your build because you don't have the funding that you thought you were going to have in the very beginning. And as you know, over the last few sessions, our number one goal is to make sure that we get broadband out to everybody just as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just want to return to the committee real quick to make sure there are no additional questions from anyone. Okay. We will turn to the audience to see if there's anyone else here to speak in support of the bill. Anyone in the audience opposed? Okay. Anyone online? Nope. All right. Patron has the final word.
No, I know you're at a busy docket.
Thank you so much. The committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delegate Anthony.
I would move to gently lay this on the table.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we gently lay this bill on the table. Clerk shall open the roll. Okay, by a vote of 7 to 3, the bill's been laid on the table. I would thank the patron, but he's already left. I see Delegate Ballard. We've got HB 588.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm not sure which is more fun, courts at the end of the day on Friday or finance at 7 a.m. on Monday. So before you is House Bill 588. It was brought to me by the Department of Veterans Services, and it essentially removes the current cap of $40,000 of military benefits that may be subtracted from Virginia taxable income starting in calendar year January 1st, 2027. As you all probably know, this legislation supports Goal 3 of the statewide strategic plan for veterans, which basically the intent is to attract more transitioning service members, veterans, and their families to move to Virginia. Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to belabor the point with this bill. I think you all heard this with Delegate Fagan's House Bill 137, very substantially similar, that reported out unanimously. I think it went to appropriations as a substitute. I have statistics. I have some anecdotal evidence, but again, I know you all are busy and it's early hour of the morning, so I won't belabor the point because it's very similar to his.
Appreciate that, Delegate Ballard, and you're right, we did hear similar legislation from Delegate Fagan's at our earlier meeting last week. Any questions from the committee? Anyone in the audience here to speak in support? Anyone in the audience here to speak in opposition? Anyone online? Okay. So I will note the bill that we reported last week with substitute, all it did was adjust annually for inflation. So that's what we reported to appropriations. I believe it's too late at this stage to incorporate the bills, but would encourage you to connect with Delegate Fagan's potentially as joining as a co-patron, because you're right, the subject matter here is identical. So with that, the committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate McNamara.
Thank you. I think there are some differences. I think it's a good bill. I care about our veterans. I know we all do. I'd make a motion to report and refer to appropriations.
Mr. Chair. Substitute motion.
Go ahead.
Substitute motion to gently lay this on the table. We all care about veterans, but we cannot carry similar legislation that invokes the same section of code.
Is there a second? Okay. So it's
Mr.
been
Chairman,
Chair Watts.
speaking to the motion and the comment that there is a difference. There is a difference of over 60 million, essentially $60 million. And the huge difference is that the bill that we sent up to appropriation is targeted to where the need is greatest, as opposed to all retirement benefits, no matter what the individual's current age or employment or degree of need. And as we spend the Commonwealth's resources, I think those goals are equally important. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there is a motion, and it's been seconded to gently lay this bill on the table. Clerk shall open the roll. Okay, 7-2, we've laid the bill on the table. Delegate Ballard, thank you so much for your work in this area. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the members of the committee. HB 991 allows us to address some realities that exist in the Commonwealth today. And we'll start out to address those realities by looking at the good news. The good news is that we have a $2.7 billion tax or revenue surplus. That's awesome, right? There's more good news, right? I mean, we have even more revenue than that. We've got $0.6 billion coming in from a carbon tax credit that people call Reggie. We've got $1.2 billion coming in from wealth and income tax credits. This new revenue, 20% or 20-cent delivery fee. We got new revenue from dog walking tax, pet grooming tax on electric landscaping equipment, plastic bag tax, gym membership tax, gun license tax, ammunition tax, raising income taxes on the biggest payers, investment tax, sales and local sales tax increase options up to 16.7%. We got a digital service tax, a vehicle repair tax, Mr. Chairman. We got a fantasy football tax, and we're going to have statewide speed cameras. So we are flush with revenue, probably $5 or $6 billion in surplus. And the question then becomes, what are our priorities? Well, the bad news is the volunteerism is down dramatically. And in communities from Prince William and Loudoun County to Cumberland and Buckingham, our volunteer fire and rescue are the backbone of our communities. And as we've seen volunteerism drop 20, 30, 40% in the last decades, we see people suffering, literally, not metaphorically. And so how do we retain these important volunteers that are the backbone of our communities, that serve their neighbors and help to keep them safe when the worst occurs? And the way to do that is to appreciate them. So what HB 991 does is proposes a tax credit for fire and rescue members. Right now it's set at $2,000. You want to amend it down to $500, I'd take it as a friendly amendment to say thank you and to incentivize the wonderful behavior of neighbors serving neighbors. With that, I'll hand it to the committee.
Thank you, Delegate Garrett. You mentioned quite a few things there. Just note, session's not over yet. A lot of work to be done still. One question that I have is around sort of bona fide volunteer, whether you specify, I didn't see anything in the bill around the number of hours or how you're sort of deciding who would be eligible, if a single hour would qualify you for the credit, or how you're structuring it.
Historically, that's been the signature of the chief of the department, be that the volunteer fire chief, what have you. What the legislature does when they pass bills like this is grant the executive branch the administrative authority to determine the criteria that would make one eligible for this. I'd have no problem with that. I trust the people that Governor Spanberger will appoint to say this is and this isn't a bona fide volunteer. So we're enabling the executive branch to execute the idea.
I was
Mr.
just
Chair.
asking because your bill, to see if you had a preference, but it seems like you don't have a preference.
Honestly, truly, and I know that sometimes I try to do things via hyperbole, I'm wide open to suggestions. This is about trying to encourage this behavior in our communities. But what we do, and you know this quite well, is enable the executive branch. We say, here's what we want to do, you administer it. And that's the idea here. Historically, it's been a bona fide signature of a recognized chief or director.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
There's a question from Delegate Gardner.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Can localities already do this?
They can as it relates to local taxes, but localities have no revenue over the state tax structure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
In fact, Mr. Chair, if I might, please. Thank you. A lot of our and I'll bet y'all's too, do this to try to encourage this. I'm just asking us to get on board with them to help support them. But yes, ma'am, that's an exceptionally good point, and most of ours already do try to encourage that volunteerism.
Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none. Anyone here in the audience to speak in support? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone online? Okay. Well, in that case, patron has final word.
Mr. Chairman, it's clear that we have excess revenue, and I think it's an embarrassment of riches with, what, $5 or $6 billion of surplus. And so how we spend that tells our voters what our priorities are. And I think our fire and rescue communities serve us well, and that we should tip our hat to them by acknowledging that service with the tax credit to defray the cost that they literally pay out of pocket for their service to us.
Thank you, Delegate Garrett. I will note for the committee, there's a significant fiscal impact here, and just more broadly, we are dealing with cuts from the federal government, both to Medicaid and SNAP, but the committee operates by motion. What is the substitute motion, Delegate Gardner?
I'm going to gently lay this on the table.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we
Mr.
gently
Chairman.
lay this bill on the table.
Mr. Chairman.
Chair Watts.
Speaking to the motion and to the comments, the role also of this committee, which is not an easy role in administering our tax structure, is to make sure that we, in this case, we have already provided for localities who are close to the need for these volunteers and who are close to those great individuals who come forward and help the localities to be able to give them the tax break from local taxes. It's something that can be administered locally. The difficulty of administering this statewide when we do not have the audit capability, when in fact that's one of the reasons that we conform to the federal, because of their audit capability on a number of our provisions, is one of the reasons why we make this distinction between where this tax can best be administered and whether in fact it encourages the participation of individuals rather than just being an award. That is something that this committee is a matter of not awarding but encouraging behavior.
Thank you, Chair Watts. So it has been moved and seconded that we gently lay this bill on the table, and the clerk shall open the roll. Okay, by a vote of 7-2, the bill has been tabled. Thank you, Delegate Garrett, for your work on this issue. Appreciate it. Okay, so by my count, we have 3 bills left. 2 from Delegate Sewell, who I do not see with us just yet. So I will go to Uber Chair Watts, if you are ready to present HB 958.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm impressed with your efficiency as I get all the material before me. This particular bill that is before you this morning, HB, excuse me while I look for the proper number.
958 for you.
Thank you so much. But 958 is of a different nature. It basically comes out of a study that was ordered in the budget amendments last year to deal with the fact that Virginia is a real outlier in the way in which we require that multi-state businesses account for their net operating losses. We are now one of only 10 states that require that first you nationwide look at your net operating losses and then apportion those losses based on the income that is derived from your businesses cited in each of the states. This is the opposite to the books that most businesses keep, which is to first look at the business that is done in each of the states and then compute the net operating losses of that business activity in the state. The biggest problem then, because of this, is quite frankly the requirement that we make of businesses to keep 2 sets of books. And the recommendation of the committee, the work group that was directed by the budget language to look into this, was that there was no justification for this double book requirement from Virginia, and it was in fact a disincentive for some business activities.
Thank you, Delegate Watts, for that presentation. Are there any questions from the committee members? Seeing none, do we have anyone in the audience here to speak in support? Anyone to speak in opposition? No one online? I see the tax department is here. Anything you'd like to contribute on this bill? Nope, all good? Okay. All right, then, Uber Chair Watts, I will give you the last word.
Again, I compliment the committee on its work this morning.
Okay.
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that we report HB 958. I do not believe there's a fiscal impact and therefore would not need to be referred to appropriations. We'll simply report the bill and clerk shall open the roll.
Casting my vote aye.
Okay. By a vote of 8-0, well, it'll be 9-0 once Uber Chair Watts votes. The bill reports out of this committee. Thank you. Okay, for the final 2 bills, Delegate Sewell, you've got the floor. Which one would you like to do first?
We'll just go in numerical order and start with House Bill 1210.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, according to United Nations, a society is classified as an aging society when more than 10% of the population is age 60 or older. In 2020, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, 1 in 5 residents identified as 60 or older. And when you eliminate Northern Virginia from that calculation, the number jumps to 1 in 4. While we have regional disparities in the distribution of older adults, the locked-in effect is hitting every corner of our Commonwealth. Older homeowners are living in homes that are bigger than they need, but they're not moving. Why, you may ask? Because of taxes. Selling means giving up years, sometimes decades, of low property taxes or paying capital gains taxes on appreciation that has not adjusted meaningfully in decades. As a result, the locked-in effect is contributing to the stagnation of the housing market. Inventory stays low, prices remain high, and first-time homebuyers remain sidelined in this process. Today, we have the opportunity to create lasting change by unlocking opportunities for millennials and future generations, by modernizing how we tax appreciation in the Commonwealth. House Bill 1210 would provide an individual income tax subtraction for income that is taxed as long-term capital gain for federal income tax purposes, attributed to the sale of property. I hope it's the will of the subcommittee, to support this bill. And let's ensure that we have the chance, let's take advantage of this opportunity and re-energize our housing market. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Sewell. Are there any questions from committee members? Seeing none. Anyone here in the audience to testify in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Erin Corman with the Realtors. We want to thank the delegate for bringing this bill. We feel like it is a very important tool in unlocking housing supply. Currently in the state of Virginia, we have 35% of our homeowners that are facing a tax on this excess long-term capital gains. This equals out to an average of $150,000 for single filers and more than $166,000 for joint filers. These people want to sell, sometimes they need to sell, and they cannot sell because of the tax burden that they are facing, and it is locking up our housing supply. These are our first-time home buyers, our workforce home buyer homes, and so we felt like this would be a creative way to unlock that supply, and thank you so much for considering it.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone here to testify in opposition? Anyone online? No. Okay. All right. Then Delegate Sewell, you have the final word.
Simply put, this is just another opportunity for us to get creative with our solutions and of ensuring that we can make more Virginians homeowners while ensuring that our older residents are able to age in place.
Thank you, Delegate Sewell. We'll give you credit. It is a creative idea and looking at ways to sort of avoid this locking up of the housing market. I also couldn't help but notice the fiscal impact, which talks about an impact potentially as much as $300 million per fiscal year. So we do have to weigh that as well. And the committee operates by motion.
Move to report.
Mr. Chair, substitute motion.
Please proceed.
I thank the patron for bringing this bill. I love this bill. But I am looking at the unknown negative impact and the limited resources we have. So I would like to make a motion to gently, very gently, lay this bill on the table.
Mr. Chair, second, being one of those older people, I appreciate that. But I second the motion to gently lay it on the table.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we gently lay this bill on the table, and the clerk shall open the roll. Okay, by a vote of 7-3, we have laid the bill on the table. Thank you so much. You've got one more with us.
I do. So we don't want to talk about our more senior members of the community right now. We're going to talk about those first-time home buyers and getting creative with providing them with a tax credit. This tax credit is designed to provide up to $5,000 in tax relief, but we would intentionally provide an aggregate cap at $10 million for that taxable year. This is designed for 5 years, so this is designed to provide that immediate relief, and it aligns with all first-time home buyer definitions as already have been approved by the federal and state level. And we intentionally have designed this as a tax credit because we also want to be very mindful of the fiscal impact to the Commonwealth. And we wanted to ensure that those individuals who sell their homes within 3 years of receiving this tax credit know that they will need to repay it back to the Commonwealth of Virginia, because the whole point of this is to provide access and stability rather than economic opportunity for quick flipping of a home.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Are there any questions, comments from the committee? Delegate McNamara.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question, the patron?
Please proceed.
Thank you. So this, I can see that this would do some great things and make it more affordable for somebody to buy a house, and I certainly want to support it. My question I would have is, this will stimulate demand. I'm not sure it will stimulate supply. So my question, would you consider it a friendly amendment to modify the bill to also provide a tax credit, an equal tax credit to any builder that builds a new house that this would apply to? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I am at the will of the subcommittee. While I recognize the desire to increase our housing stock, our goal is to make sure that we are acknowledging not only, there's quite a few other pieces of legislation that are working to provide assistance to our home builders. With this piece of legislation, our desire is to really support those first-time home buyers, and in particular, make sure that we're being mindful of the additional expenses that they encounter once they begin home ownership, so they feel the impact immediately. I will, of course, turn over just to seek counsel if you would like to speak to that friendly amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Erin Corman with the Realtors. Obviously, it's the will of the we're at the will of the subcommittee. I will say that this particular bill, the tax credit is limited to those workforce home buyers, so it's limited to that 80 to 120%. So if the subcommittee wanted to do the friendly amendment, my only suggestion would be that the credit be limited to houses built in that particular price range. I'll also just note that according to the National Association of Realtors, every sale in the Commonwealth generates over $150,000 economic impact back into the state. So there's definitely a return on investment here if we're doing $5,000 to purchase a home and getting $145,000 back out of that. But as for the amendment, I leave that to the delegate and to the subcommittee.
Delegate Sewell, seemed like you're pleased with the way you crafted your bill and presented it here. Is that right? Or?
I mean, I was, but you guys tell me.
Well, while you think about that, why don't we invite other folks here, if they're in support of the bill, to come testify?
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Ryan O'Toole, Freedom, Virginia, we strongly support the bill. As the patron mentioned, we will point out that while housing supply is an important piece of the puzzle, also increasing affordability for first-time home buyers is key. So we ask you to pass the bill. Mr. Chair, Theos Tomas, Loudoun County Chamber of Commerce, we support the bill.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Nadine Slocum, Virginia Credit Union Association, and we support the bill.
Thank you. Anyone here in the audience to speak in opposition to the bill?
No, I just simply thank the subcommittee for engaging me and sharing of the importance of providing assistance to our first-time home buyers.
Thank you so much. I just want to confirm no one's online to testify to this bill? Okay, great. So again, like the common theme when we started this committee, lots of great ideas, and of course, there will be a lot of related movement on housing in particular through the budget and other bills this year, just noting the fiscal impact of this bill. And so with that, the committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair.
Motion. Delegate Gardner. What's your motion?
I move to again gently lay this on the table, as we've got so many of these coming through this committee, as you stated. Thank the patron for bringing such a thoughtful bill.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we again gently lay this bill on the table, and the clerk will open the roll. Okay. On a vote of 7-3, we have tabled the bill, but thank you so much for your work on this important issue. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee.
Thank you. Okay, and in perhaps record time, I think we have completed the docket for this morning, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the committee shall rise. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second edition today of Subcommittee Number 1 on Finance. We will go ahead and take attendance. So clerk, please open the roll. Okay, members, please cast your vote. And we have a quorum. Okay, so just first a housekeeping matter. At our earlier meeting today, we moved to this meeting, HB 697 from Delegate Kent, but we're going to go ahead and pass that by for the day.
So moved. Second.
Been moved in second. We'll take that by for the day. All in support will say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that will go to our next meeting. Thank you all very much. So now we will just jump into our docket. I see a number of patrons here. And why don't we start with Elizabeth Bennett Parker. Delegate Bennett Parker, you've got HB 378.
Amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Virginia families deserve a fairer tax system that lowers the cost of living and lessens the burden on working families. This bill asks very wealthy people with passive income from investments rather than from work to pay their fair share of taxes. The bill creates a state version of the federal passive investment income tax, but more narrowly targets it towards the very wealthy. The federal version has an income threshold of $200,000, whereas this bill has a higher income threshold of $500,000. So nobody with an income under $500,000 a year would be impacted at all, and more than 2/3 would be paid by people with incomes over $1 million a year. Additionally, the bill only applies to those earning at least $500,000 a year and who also have passive investment income, for example, from stocks. The bill does not affect someone's investment income from a business they actively participate in or someone whose income otherwise comes from work and a salary. If you are fortunate enough to earn at least $500,000 a year and have income from passive investments like stocks, the bill only applies to the lesser of the amount of the passive investment income or the income in excess of $500,000. This bill could easily pay to lower health insurance premiums for Virginians, which are currently skyrocketing due to the federal government's failure to extend the enhanced premium tax credits. It could also pay for new tax cuts to help families afford essentials like groceries, housing, and diapers for their children. This bill would help us lower costs for everyday Virginians and make Virginia more affordable. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Parker. Are there any questions from the committee? Is there anyone here in the audience?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. We strongly support this legislation in asking those with the most in Virginia to pay their fair share. For decades, we've been promising things like getting to the national average or getting on track to pay down the large amount of construction needs for our schools. We are going to need some major revenue raiser to do those things, and for all those reasons, we strongly support this bill.
Thank you. If everyone could keep your remarks to 1 minute, that would be great. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm Megan Davis with the Commonwealth Institute. This is a bill that would increase fairness in our tax code, asking those with high incomes from passive sources to pay their fair share while generating potential hundreds of millions in much-needed revenues a year. We think this is a proposal about income from wealth, not income from work. The bill starts with an existing federal definition of passive income, which already excludes most retirement income, as well as income from actively running a business. This would be mostly paid by millionaires who have the ability to have their money make money for them, an option many everyday people do not have. We strongly support this bill, and we thank Delegate Bennett Parker for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Ryan O'Toole of Freedom, Virginia. We strongly support the bill. As the delegate mentioned, this does take an existing provision of federal law and simply models state law off of that. And at a moment when we face severe budget shortfalls at the state level due to reckless federal action, I think it's an important and prudent step to give you all tools to consider. Hope you support the bill.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone here in the audience to speak in opposition to the bill? Do we have anyone online? Okay.
Mr. Chair.
I'm going to give the patron just one last final word before we take action.
For all the reasons previously stated, I hope you'll support the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Nice and brief. Thank you so much. Okay, Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Speaking to the bill.
Go ahead.
So I appreciate the patron for bringing this forward. I do support the entire spirit of this bill. I know that given the scale of the change in the tax infrastructure, I believe it does require some further fiscal modeling and policy analysis before we can responsibly act on this. And there, I'm going to make a motion at an appropriate time, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Speak into the bill. Jill. Or
Motion on the table.
She was about to make a motion. Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to gently lay this on the table.
It's been moved and seconded that we gently lay this bill on the table. The clerk shall open the roll. Okay, by a vote of 10 to 0, the bill has been tabled. Thank you so much for your work on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Moving right along, let's go ahead and call up Delegate McGuire in HB 1422.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. HB 1422 is really an affordability bill focused on clean energy. It establishes a non-refundable individual income tax credit for the purchase and installation of solar energy equipment. The credit is equal to 15% of the amount paid for the purchase and installation of the expenses, with a maximum credit of $1,000. Also, we're kind of trying this as a pilot program. It's available for the current taxable years of 2026 through 2031. And you may ask, why is this needed? Well, the Federal Residential Clean Energy Tax Credit was available through the Inflation Reduction Act signed by President Biden to encourage more homeowners to go solar. But the One Big Beautiful Bill signed by President Trump ended the federal tax credit on December 31st, 2025. So this has resulted in increased financial burden to homeowners who are trying to reduce their utility bills through solar. The bill is another step toward empowering Virginians to meet their energy needs using their own rooftops and balancing development with conservation. I hope it is the will of the subcommittee to act favorably on HB 1422.
Thank you so much, Delegate McGuire, for that presentation. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, is there anyone here in support of the bill?
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Blair St. Ledger Olson, representing the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. We do urge you all to support this bill. Rooftop solar is one of our best ways to insulate ratepayers from expansive costs of increasing demand across the Commonwealth. We want to get this incentive back in place so that that is more accessible for people. And as the delegate described, this is a pilot. It's very tailored and well thought out. So we would urge you to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? Anyone online? Okay. One more chance for the committee. Any questions? Okay. Chair Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before motions are made, I just wanted to underscore one of the challenges before this committee, and I commend reading the fiscal impact statements. You will notice in that fiscal impact statement that $5 million at $1,000 per individual tax credit would not even begin to touch the potential for $70 million that could apply for such a credit. That good ideas are nice to underscore, but I just wanted to underscore that the tax code isn't always the way to achieve it, and perhaps direct funding sometimes is, sometimes really getting a this kind of revenue where it would do the most good rather than just this. I'm hesitating when saying the word token, but I'm going to say the word token.
Thank you, Delegate Watts. And I'll just note, grateful for your work on the bill. I think when it comes to solar in general this session, there's going to be a whole lot of bills moving forward, hopefully in labor and commerce as well, hopefully initiatives through the budget. So there's not going to be one tool that does everything all in one swoop. And with that, Delegate Anthony, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a motion. Would like to speak to that motion first.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm, of course, I am a proponent of clean energy and all that we can do in those efforts. However, a lot of times sometimes the E, meaning equity, is always silent in our efforts. And so I worry about widening inequity with this particular tax credit using general fund dollars. So I will move to gently lay this on the table.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we gently lay this bill on the table. Let's go ahead and vote on the board. Okay, by a vote of 9-1, the bill has been tabled. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And I see that Delegate Carr has just walked in. I know you have to be in appropriations, so if you'd like to jump in, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we have HB 805. I believe there's an amendment which would remove further adjustments in relation to consumer price index.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in support of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the amendment has been adopted properly before us. Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HB 805 addresses a cap to the land preservation tax credit. In 2015, the cap was moved from $100 million a year to $75 million. The cap has been met almost each year since 2019. Nonprofit land conservancies often reach their cap in the fall and enter the next year with a queue. The land preservation tax credit is a key tool in land preservation efforts. Virginia has joined the Chesapeake Bay program, which tasked the state with conserving an addition 2 million acres of land in the Bay's watershed. In addition, some regional land conservancies have been working on conservancy for over 5 decades, but many others, like the Capital Regency Land Conservancy, were established in 2005 and are still playing catch-up. Restoring the cap to $100 million would go a long way in preserving more land. Members of the land preservation community are here to provide support and speak to the need for this cap increase. I hope the subcommittee would consider reporting the bill.
Thank you so much, Delegate Carr. Are there any questions from the committee? My little device here is not working, so you'll have to let me know.
Question.
Delegate
Question of the patron, please.
Sure, proceed.
So I like the land preservation tax credit, the whole concept. I'm inclined to support it. The one concern I might have that perhaps you could address is we're talking about housing and affordability on housing. If we increase this land preservation tax credit, would we not potentially be taking land out of inventory that otherwise might be supporting housing? Thank you.
I can't answer that. Mr. Chairman, I can't answer that specifically, but I don't think that that's necessarily the case. The land, I can let somebody more specifically in touch with that, if somebody from the Land Conservancy, Mr. Agilesto, perhaps can talk about that.
Please come on up if you'd like to speak to that question.
Thank you. The land preservation tax credit is only available for projects that meet the Open Space Act or the Virginia Conservation Easement Act, both of which require conformance with the local comprehensive plan. So if the local comprehensive plan is saying we need housing here, they're going to not support land conservation here. They're going to ask for it to be elsewhere. Typically, it is on working farmland, working forest land. It has also been leveraged more and more recently to create new public access lands.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. At this point, I'll ask if anyone's here to testify in support of the bill. I assume you're in support, but you can come up and say it again if you'd like.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Parker Agilesto. I'm a constituent of Delegate Carr's. I also am the executive director for the Capital Region Land Conservancy. We are the local land trust that services the greater Richmond region. As Delegate Carr mentioned, the Land Preservation Tax Credit Program has been the most incredible program for Virginia to conserve land. It has helped to conserve over 1 million acres of land. And what it does is it works with private landowners who still own their land to put protective conservation easements to restrict it from other types of development. They still own their land. They can pass it on to the next generation. What is really incredible about the Land Preservation Tax Credit Program is that for every dollar that Virginia spends on it, you're getting a return of more than 1-to-1 match. It's a 60-40 ratio. So the state puts in 40%, the landowner is putting in as a gift 60% of the value of their donation. And as I mentioned, it has really become leveraged for public access. The Capital Region Land Conservancy has been called on by Henrico County, City of Richmond, Chesterfield County to create additional public access lands leveraging this tool.
Thank you so much for that background. It's very helpful.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Caitlin Jordan with Virginia Farm Bureau. We thank the patron and appreciate any opportunity to keep working farms working. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Alexander McCauley for the Piedmont Environmental Council. We support the bill and appreciate Delegate Scarr leadership on the topic.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone here to testify in opposition? Do we have anyone online? Okay. All right. Would the patron like the final word?
I think the testimony speaks for itself, and I hope the committee will give this due consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Carr. Thank you so much for this work and the focus on conservation generally. I think there's a lot of support for an effort like this, and also at the same time we have to look at the fiscal impact, which we do note is rather large, and we have to take that into account as we do our deliberations here. So with that, the committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Delegate
I
Anthony.
have a motion. Would like to speak to that motion?
Please proceed.
So I appreciate and I like to piggyback off of your comments, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the patron for bringing this, and I believe all has been said about the expansiveness of an already expensive tax credit. Therefore, I will move to gently lay this on the table.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we very gently lay this bill on the table, and the clerk shall open the roll. Okay, by a vote of 73, the bill has been tabled. Thank you so much, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you so much. Okay, I believe Delegate Kathy Tran also has to be in appropriation, so I will call you up for your HB 1004.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1004 is in front of you this afternoon. This bill is really about helping working families afford the cost of raising kids and helping to take a small but significant step towards reducing child poverty in Virginia. Too many families are doing their very best and are still struggling to keep up. And so, you have rent and housing prices going up, grocery cost more each week, school supplies don't let up, and childcare costs feel impossible for so many. For families with young children, these pressures really add up, and they do so very quickly. This bill provides targeted practical relief by establishing a one-time refundable state child tax credit for families with kids under the age of 13. The credit is $300 per eligible child and would be available to individuals or married couples filing jointly with a Virginia AGI of $100,000 or less. The relief is intentionally targeted to working families who need it most and who will put this money directly back into their households and their local economies. We know this approach works. When the federal child tax credit was expanded, child poverty rates dropped to historic lows. And when it expired, those rates rose sharply again. So the evidence is clear. Child tax credits help families meet basic needs and improve outcomes for children. And if this bill passes, we estimate 781,000 Virginia kids would benefit. That means help paying for groceries, childcare, diapers, school supplies, rent, the real expenses that families face every day. I look forward to your questions and hope we can act favorably on this bill.
Thank you so much, Delegate Tran. Are there any questions from the committee? I see one from Delegate McNamara.
Thank you. Speak to the bill? Or would you prefer a wait?
Question? Or?
Yes. Thank you. I just wanted to speak to the patron on the bill. I've actually carried a bill similar to this in years past. I think it's a fantastic idea. It makes life more affordable for Virginians, and look forward to supporting it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate McNamara. Any other questions from the committee? Okay, anyone here in the audience to speak in support of the bill? Come on up, and please limit your remarks to 1 minute each.
Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. Our members have charged us to work on anti-poverty efforts for children, and there are few mechanisms proven more so than the child tax credit for reducing child poverty. We know there are so many determinants of educational outcomes for children, and poverty and income at home is a huge measure of that. For all those reasons, we strongly support this bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Theo Stamatis, Loudoun County Chamber of Commerce. We thank the patron for bringing the bill forward, and we support it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Subcommittee, Rhino Tool, Freedom, Virginia. We strongly support the bill. This is a great proven method to provide a tax credit to working people. Thank the patron for her work on the issue.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Megan Davis with the Commonwealth Institute. TCI has long supported establishing a child tax credit in Virginia, and we thank Delegate Tran for her continued work on this. We know that refundable tax credits are proven policy tools helping to address poverty and boost family incomes. This bill is the first step in creating a refundable child tax credit in Virginia and would reach about 800,000 children, providing a boost to families at a time when many are struggling to make ends meet. For that reason, we strongly support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the audience to speak in opposition to the bill? Okay, and I don't think we have anyone online, just an expert. Okay. All right. Delegate Tran, would you like the final word on your bill?
I think we're good. Oh, I hope we're good. I hope we're good.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just say before I'll call on Delegate Anthony here, deeply sympathetic to child tax credit as a dad of 2 young children who are in childcare, and it absolutely is something we need to continue to work on. Hopefully there will be other vehicles, if the committee so chooses, that we can move forward and make additional investments in affordable childcare through the budget as well. So with that, I will turn it to Delegate Bonita Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will make a motion, and I'd like to speak to that motion.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I have 781,000 Virginia children, my goodness. So this makes my heart hurt to be, simply because of what we're facing now, as far as what Virginia is facing now with the fallout at the federal government. I would like to see in the future something in this bill that shows a little bit more accountability, that it will help reduce child poverty, improve some family stability or return on investment. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I will gently lay 781,000 Virginia children on the table. I'm so sorry.
All right, well. There's been a motion to lay the bill on the table. Is there a second? Okay, so it's been moved and second that we lay the bill on the table. We will go on the board. Okay, by a vote of 8-3, we have laid the bill on the table. Okay, 7-3 then, 7-3. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, members of the committee.
Appreciate it. Okay, all right. We are moving along. So let's go next to Delegate Phillips with HB, you've got 1051, is that right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I have HB 1051, which I call the property tax circuit breaker bill, because it triggers when there's an overload in the system, just like your electric bill was, but in this case, it triggers when there's an overload in your wallet due to ever-increasing property tax bills. I know there's a lot of talk about housing. We certainly want to keep people in their houses that are already in their houses. So this provides a refundable income tax credit in taxable years 2026 through 2030 to eligible taxpayers. defined in the bill who incur real property taxes in an amount equal to or greater than 4% of their federal adjusted gross income for up to $500 for single individuals, and that's with a federal gross adjusted income below $75,000, and $1,000 for married persons filing jointly, and that's with a federal adjusted income below $100,000. The goal is to help people not be taxed out of being able to afford to stay in their homes. Neighboring states like Maryland, North Carolina have similar legislation. Also, the District of Columbia has the same thing. I was asked to bring legislation like this by the city of Martinsville's mayor. There is a FIS associated with this bill that includes a technical amendment, and I would like to move the amendment.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to move the technical amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the amendment has been made to the bill. Any additional comments you want to make about that, or? Okay.
I could just say the amendment was really simple. It just changed the code, and it was recommended by the Department of Taxation to change the code section.
Okay, thank you so much. Turning to the committee, are there any questions? Seeing none, anyone in the audience here to support the bill? Anyone here to speak in opposition? No one online? Okay, very good. Well then, in that case, I see there's a question from Delegate McNamara.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to make a motion to report and refer to appropriations.
Mr. Chair, substitute motion.
Delegate Anthony.
I'd like to lay this on the table. Move to lay this on the table.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we lay this bill on the table. And first, though, I will call on Uber Chair Watts.
Speaking to the motion and just sharing some additional information. Again, one of our challenges, and we do appreciate when we get all these new ideas because who knows where there may be a thread. But by targeting your bill just to home owners, you're missing all the low income who are renters who are affected by high real estate taxes. And I couldn't agree more about the problem of high real estate taxes. But I would also point out that those high real estate taxes are in the urban crescent, Northern Virginia, Richmond down to Hampton Roads, where again there are a tremendous number of renters. So I thank you for highlighting our problem of very high real estate taxes, but this does not target those who are really being fully being impacted by them.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Watts. And returning to the motion, it's been moved and seconded that we lay this bill on the table, and clerk shall open the roll. Okay, by a vote of 73, the bill has been tabled, but want to thank you so much for your work.
Thank
on
you, Mr.
this
Chairman.
issue. Appreciate it. Okay. Delegate Wilt, we've got you next. HB 1412, I do believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Before you is House Bill 1412. It restores and updates a key tax incentive to support employers who invest in child care facilities and assist employees with child care costs. Mr. Chairman, committee members, we know that as a state we're facing a crisis of child care facilities. I mean, it's all around our state, it's everywhere, and we've got to get off center and try to bring some relief. And so this is what this bill is designed to do. It reinstates, beginning with tax year 2027, the daycare facility investment tax credit, which became dormant in 2014 after a few years of non-use because the existing credit available was so small and narrow. And what you have before you uses that existing credit as a starting point, but broadens it out significantly to be something actually usable for employers. It goes beyond direct capital investment in building child care facilities by expanding to allow employers to contribute directly to the cost of employees' child care. They can give the money right to the employee to help cover if they're already in a facility. It increases the credit cap per taxpayer from $25,000 to $50,000, and it increases the overall program cap to $5 million. Mr. Chairman and committee members, so The reason this is important, it supports workforce participation. High child care costs are a significant barrier for many working parents, and this is offering employer tax incentives helps businesses provide meaningful support and retain or attract workers. This is an existing federal employee. There is an existing federal employer provided child tax care credit, 45F. And you take that, combine it with this, and Mr. Chairman, we can make a real impact in this whole arena. Another exciting part that I feel about the bill, multiple employers can combine investment in a facility, which could allow small businesses to take advantage. So multiple businesses can come together to create a facility. Also, Mr. Chairman, the tax credits are to encourage employer investment will reduce pressure on the state general funds. And I know there's some of that involved here, but look what we can buy down. If we can do this with the employers and create an avenue, then they can contribute a lot more. And it's going to potentially save the state money. So that's the bill, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Just a quick clarification for me. So this is a non-refundable credit.
Correct,
So if
Mr.
someone
Chairman.
didn't have tax liability, then they would not be able to claim the credit.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Okay. Anyone here in the audience to speak in support? Anyone here to speak in opposition? On this one, I think we do have folks online. So we will turn to those fine folks. And same rule, if we could keep the remarks to 1 minute each, that would be much appreciated. And I will call first on the list, Miss Lori Friesen.
Yes, thank you, committee. This afternoon, I'm Lori Friesen, a pastor at Zion Mennonite Church in Rockingham County, a church of 150 members who are healthcare workers, teachers, administrators, farmers, and so much more. I'm also a strategy team member of Valley Interfaith Action. Valley Interfaith Action represents 11,000 people in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County, Virginia. I have become a child care expert to serve my community. I know that families are spending upwards to 40% of their income to pay for child care. HB 1412 is essential in creating the partnerships between employers and childcare so we can support working families, teachers, children, and our beautiful state of Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, I will go to Adam Blagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am Reverend Adam Blagg, pastor of Otterbein United Methodist Church. I stand in support of HB 1412. Otterbein is the county church in the city, worshiping and serving our community for over 130 years. Our 300 members include teachers, nurses, farmers, and small business owners. We believe in early childhood education. During the past 3 years, we have opened a preschool in our own building and invested $200,000 to open another center through Valley Early Education Reimagined. HB 1412 provides the business community with an avenue to invest with us to provide high-quality, affordable care to those who need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next person I have on the list is Catherine Cohen.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Delegate Wilt. My name is Catherine Cohen. I'm a board member and founder of Valley Early Education Reimagined, a private-public partnership between civic organizations like Valley Interfaith Action and area employers to launch and operate high-quality, affordable early education childcare centers serving as a model for Virginia. Through VEER, employers help pay for their workers' childcare costs. By bringing in private sector funding, VEER is able to increase teacher pay and lower costs for families. It's a win-win. This tax credit would allow us to test and demonstrate a way to increase this private sector investment in childcare solutions. In particular, HB 1412 has a significant impact because it casts a wider net, enabling more employers to help shoulder the cost of care. For employers who are eligible for 45F, the Federal Employer Child Care Tax Credit, HB 1412 enables them to cover the true cost of care, so we can continue to increase teacher compensation and decrease costs for families. This would bring in more federal dollars to Virginia and ease the burden on existing state programs we use, like subsidy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Really appreciate that. Just return to the committee for a second. Are there any questions, comments?
Mr. Chair.
I want to give the patron just unless you have a question. Okay, all right.
Thank you,
The
Mr.
last
Chairman.
word.
Yeah, the last comment was, any chance that we don't turn to Delegate Anthony?
If anyone else would like to. I will say, again, I'm very sympathetic to this idea of putting more money into childcare, and in particular, bringing in employers as part of the solution. I think it's always a trade-off between being mindful of fiscal impact, but also do we use limited resources for existing programs like childcare subsidy program, which we know has a long wait list. So these are the complex decisions that we have to wade through. So with that, if anyone besides Delegate Anthony
Mr. Chair.
would
Mr.
like
Chairman,
to-
I hope Delegate Anthony knows I was just picking.
Delegate Maldonado.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think, thank you so much for bringing this bill forward. I think it's critically important. I think we all do. As the chair said, we are weighing all the competing pieces and how to kind of triage across what somebody said to me the other day, the canyons, not the gaps, but the canyons that we are experiencing. So it is my wish that you bring this back another time, because I think it's so incredibly important. But in this moment, I don't think we have the capacity for it financially, and I move that we gently lay this bill on the table.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we gently lay the bill on the table, and we'll go on the board. Okay, by a vote of 6-3, we've laid the bill on the table. I want to thank you so much for your work on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members.
Thanks
Appreciate
for your
it.
time. Okay, so. Delegate Reed, would you like to go next?
Wow, I walked in just at the right time.
You did it perfectly. Okay, you've got HB 405.
Yes. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the subcommittee. It's good to see you again. I think I started my morning with you as well. And we started this morning talking about child care affordability, and I want to go now to health care affordability. And House Bill 405 is a piece of legislation that I've been working on over the summer with stakeholders in Northern Virginia, and came up with this idea of a health insurance premium stabilization program. And I think it's important for us to recognize, and I know that you do this as well already, is that one of the great challenges of our time is how we go about making health care not only available, accessible, and affordable across the entire Commonwealth, and that's the challenge that we face. And unfortunately, these challenges have recently been exacerbated by the pullback in funding of healthcare items from the federal government, as well as just in general the inaction that goes on in Congress. So this program, as it's currently conceived, would be intended to help stabilize the health care with a state credit. And this is one of those things where I think we just, in averages, the cost for an individual is probably going to go up by about $4,000 a year. And so that's really very significant. And so it's hoped that this program would be able to be one of the multiple solutions that you might be able to continue to be able to evaluate, and that we would be able to address this so that we can do something about addressing the healthcare affordability and accessibility issues across the Commonwealth. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I welcome your questions, your input, and I understand, much like what's going on in appropriations, we're having to make some very difficult decisions, so I appreciate your input and thoughtfulness on consideration of this legislation.
Thank you so much, Delegate Reed. Are there any questions from the committee?
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to take the committee's time unnecessarily, but the question I have is that, first of all, I give you A for creativity. But you are returning the general fund money through a tax credit rather than to the insurance provider to lower the premiums, which would happen month in, month out, which is like the federal program. Why did you choose that 120 million plus to go in that direction rather than to mirror what we are losing on the federal side?
Mr. Chair and Madam Chair, I think it was about trying to approach it just from a different way and seeing if there was a way to be able to do this. And I think that as we go through this process, we've kind of recognized through the discussions with the stakeholders that I've been working with that what we would really like to get at, and I think that this is probably where the committee would like to get to, is instead of doing this as a tax credit, which is the way that it's written, but as we've had more time to reflect on it, I think what we'd like to see is something that would be able to help individuals on a monthly basis to defray their cost. So again, this is part of the process, Madam Chair, where you start down one path and you think that it's probably the best choice, and then you get input from other people and you realize that there might be a better way of doing it.
Mr. Chairman, just to follow up on that.
Please.
This is why we have a tax committee in the House of Finance Committee. And you are absolutely correct in your second thoughts that to get it to the monthly is much more important to the program than a tax credit would be.
And Mr. Chair, I always like to tell everyone back home that this is the reason why we have this process, because you can have what you think is the best idea when you're sitting at home, and then you get down here and you have a lot of other people that are very knowledgeable and they provide their input. So that's the reason why I appreciate the process that we have to be able to be deliberative and thoughtful about how we move forward.
Thank you so much, Delegate Reed. And I don't want to put you on the spot with your bill, but I know that the governor also announced something toward the end of last year on this same kind of topic, where she wanted to have an initiative to reach some of the folks that are sort of most likely to fall off Medicaid eligibility. So all to say, I think that there is a lot of appetite to be responsive to the loss of healthcare coverage that people are going to face because of the failure of Washington to renew the ACA subsidies. So just want to really, I guess I'm just complimenting you for continuing that
well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, it is a dilemma that we face, and as I pointed out when we started, I mean, this is one of the greatest challenges, I think, of our time, because we're trying to address affordability, accessibility, and availability, and those are things that are really difficult to be able to solve. I mean, again, because we have a lot of different competing demands, as I oftentimes tell people, and I'm trying not to be too glib, but it oftentimes feels like that we have an infinite amount of needs and a finite amount of resources.
Thank you so much, Delegate Reed. Seeing no further questions from the committee, I'll just ask if there's anyone in the audience to testify in support.
Mr. Chair, for the record, Theos Tomatis, Loudoun County Chamber of Commerce, thank the patron for bringing the bill forward, and we support it.
Thank you so much. Anyone here to testify in opposition? Do we have anyone online? Okay. So with that, Delegate Reed, I'll give you the final word on your bill.
I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for your work on this. I know there are a lot of conversations on the same subject, and appreciate what we have learned just from your bill, putting it forward, and ways that we might think about optimizing relief to people who really need it. So with that, the committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Maldonado.
I echo the chair's sentiments and thank the patron for bringing forward this bill, but for all the reasons we just discussed and laid out, I am making a motion that we gently lay the bill on the table.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded to gently lay this bill on the table. We will go on the board. Okay, by a vote of 6-2, the bill is laid on the table. Delegate Reed, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the committee.
Okay, so we are quickly working through our list here. I don't see Delegate Runyon here. So in that case, I will turn to our very own committee members, and I will start with Delegate Pope Adams, HB 1180. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, and Delegate Anthony had to leave. Oh, darn.
we're good.
So first, I have a technical amendment. It's just to reflect the true intent of the bill. If you'll see, I've passed one out to everyone. It was also in the FIS at the recommendation of tax. So I'd like to start first with that amendment.
Okay.
Just to strike one word.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt this line amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have incorporated this amendment into your bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So HB 1180, as amended, there's a long storied history, which brings us to this point, but nevertheless, this bill is based on a simple principle. Virginians should not have to pay fees just to file their taxes. HB 1180 is necessary to align with work that is already underway. In 2025 and the 2025 Appropriations Act, we funded the Department of Taxation to modernize its tax processing system, but that funding was also contingent upon tax, including in its contract an electronic filing system that could be used by all Virginians. So this legislation simply ensures that our policy matches our existing investment. This is about compliance, access, and respecting taxpayers' time and money. So I respectfully ask for your support, and I also know there's someone here from tax if you had any technical questions about this bill.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I'll turn first to the committee to see if there are any questions on this bill. Seeing none, I think just to mix it up, I'll call on tax to see if you've got anything you'd like to add to this. Sounds like you all are on board, but.
Chairman Hernandez, members of the committee, Ryan Cunningham from Tax. We are in support of the bill. We are fine with this extra legislation to kind of repeal some of the things that were preventing the tax department from offering this kind of service in the past. And we believe this language is in line with the budget language, and there would be no conflict between the two. And for that reason, we are fine with the bill as amended.
Thank you so much. Very helpful to hear. With that, I will turn to the audience, see if anyone's here to testify in support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Subcommittee, Ryan O'Toole, Freedom, Virginia. We strongly support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Megan Davis with the Commonwealth Institute. We think this is an important step in providing free and accessible tax filing for Virginia residents, which would increase tax fairness overall. And for those reasons, we thank the delegate and strongly support the bill.
Thank you so much. Anyone here to testify in opposition? Anyone online? Okay. Anything else from the committee? Well, I just wanted to commend the patron for work on this, reading the fiscal impact about the impact for people of what this will mean. I mean, this touches a broad swath of taxpayers who will be able to file taxes for free, a little bit easier. And so that's really encouraging to see. So thank you for your work. Is there anything you'd like to say as final statement on the bill?
I just concur with everything that's been said. Thank you for the opportunity to present.
All right, very good.
Before I go vote.
And with that, committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Maldonado.
Mr. Chair, I move to report as amended.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion to report HB 1180 as amended. We will go on the board. All right. By a vote of 8-0, the bill reports out of this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. We can report a bill. Okay. All right. So moving right along, I do not see Delegate Runyon, so I will call on Delegate Bulova. HB 1454.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, HB 1454 proposes that the Siegel AmeriCorps Education Award, beginning January 1st, 2026 and afterwards, not be subject to Virginia income tax. AmeriCorps, a national service program administered through Serve Virginia, is a proven model for addressing critical community needs in areas such as education, healthcare, and the environment, and a critical partner in promoting workforce development. AmeriCorps members serve full or part-time terms, generally for 10 to 12 months. Once completing their service, they are eligible for the Siegel AmeriCorps Education Award. The award can be used to pay education costs at qualified institutions of higher education, for qualified apprenticeships, or to repay student loans. Established by Congress, the Siegel Education Award was intended to benefit AmeriCorps alumni similar to the GI Bill, service followed by an education award. When Congress established this education award, it was not intended to be taxed. Somehow, whatever the era, this tax exemption never happened. HB 1454 removes the Virginia income tax obligation, and hopefully Congress will fix this soon. This unanticipated tax obligation can range from hundreds of dollars to exceed $2,000 when a member earns the maximum award for 2 terms of service. As of 2025, the award for a full-time term was over $7,000 earned upon completion of 1,700 service hours, to be used within 7 years of completed service. And AmeriCorps members cannot use any portion of the award to pay the tax bill. The unintended tax burden disproportionately affects young people who use their education awards from their AmeriCorps service as a pathway to higher education and workforce programs, ultimately helping to retain and grow Virginia's talent. Removing the state tax burden will increase the likelihood that alumni will spend their Siegel Education Award funds at Virginia colleges and universities instead of in other states that do not impose the tax, such as Colorado, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, Oregon, and Wisconsin. Thank you for your consideration of this bill. Supporting volunteerism and community service is so important in this country, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Delegate Bulova, for that presentation. And I'll turn to the committee for any questions they may have about your bill. Okay, so with that, let's turn to anyone in the audience who's here to support. We've got some. All right, come on up.
Hi, good afternoon. Julie Strandley. I'm a Virginia lawyer. I was the 8-year member of the Governor's Advisory Board on Service and Volunteerism, appointed by Governors McAuliffe and Northam, and I currently chair the Virginia Service Foundation. We are partners with Serve Virginia in promoting national service in Virginia and volunteerism, and we strongly support the bill. Congress never intended for this Siegel Award to be taxed. It's unclear what happened. Congress has been trying to fix this, led by Congressman John Lewis for many years, and Congressman Jim Moran, who was there in 1993 when it was passed, and who co-sponsored those bills to fix it ever since. I talked to him this weekend. He remembers this, and he is very cognizant of this. We would ask that the committee look favorably upon this. It has a significant tax impact on young adults who are age 19 to 26. And as we were making the rounds today, we discovered one of your session aides was very severely impacted by this as well. There are 13 comments online, and there are people here to testify as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that background.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for hearing our concerns today. My name is Kim Luckaba. I am the Vice Chair of the Governor's Advisory Board for Service and Volunteerism. I am a Youngkin appointee, but volunteerism has been a core value that I've held since my early childhood. So this really matters significantly to me and to our team of individuals within the advisory board and with the Virginia Service Foundation. You know, my daughter recently graduated from college. She wasn't AmeriCorps, but she was just so strong with her studies, and she received some scholarships. She had to pay tax on it, and she's like, Mom, why do I have to pay this when I need this to pay for college? And we had to pay the tax for her. Fortunately, we had the means to do so, but so many others don't. Now she has been nominated as a Rising Star for Women in Technology. How many Rising Stars are we losing by not offering this support for them? So I just ask you to look favorably upon this. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. And then it looks like for this one, we do have some folks online as well. So why don't I call on Tony Weaver, if you're with us.
Yes. Hi, my name is Tony Weaver, and I'm speaking in my personal capacity today in support of this bill. I serve on the board of directors of an organization called Spire After School Learning. The organization provides supplemental after-school learning assistance to students in the Arlington area with a strong emphasis on literacy interventions. For many years, AmeriCorps members have served as instructors to our students. In this capacity, all the members I've known have a strong desire to serve their country. Some have attended college. Others use the Education Award as a way to pursue college. For many, it's counterintuitive that they must pay taxes on an award that they're receiving from the government, and it comes as a financial surprise and hardship that is challenging for a young person. Furthermore, this parting experience can dampen the enthusiasm of those who would likely otherwise be the staunchest advocates for the program. I strongly support the bill, and I encourage you to do so as well.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I also will call on Miss Justine Blinko. She's on. Okay. All right. And then Natalie Gutierrez.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Natalie Gutierrez. I'm a AmeriCorps alumni from the 2022 to 2024 cohort, and I stand in strong support to this bill because it ensures that the financial burden upon the AmeriCorps alumni who have dedicated themselves to public service is not unfairly prolonged. I believe this bill it's vital toward equity, and removing the tax barriers can honor all their accomplishments and their mission, the AmeriCorps mission, and also encourages future generations to serve. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that testimony. Okay, seeing no one else, return to the committee for any other questions. Well, I'll just say I appreciate you bringing this bill. It seems like it will do a whole lot of good for a whole lot of folks, and happily, the FIS is not tremendous, not to say you won't have to duke it out with the appropriators upstairs, but if this bill does report, then it would need to be referred to appropriations, and the committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Maldonado.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would also like to thank the patron for bringing this bill. There are a number of scholarships that are taxable that give a lot of heartache to people. So thank you for doing this good work to help make things more accessible and affordable to our students. I would like to move that we report and refer this bill to appropriations.
Second. Okay, there's a motion to report and refer this bill to appropriations. Let's vote on the board. We'll keep it open. You don't have to run. Okay. All right. Very good. By a vote of 8-0, the bill reports and is referred to appropriations. So I do not see Delegate Runyon, so I will just take chair's prerogative. We'll move.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
To take this HB 760 by for the day. I think Delegate Runyon is stuck in a committee.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, moved and seconded to take that bill by for the day. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that completes our docket, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All in support will say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, committee shall rise. All right, we're rocking.